what are the benefits that you've realized today? What are the benefits that you expect to realize, and how do you, what changes are you making, or what kind of moves are you making to ensure that it becomes a culture? Because really the sustainability of these standards initiatives is about it being a culture for the organization. It transits to, this is the way that we do things around here. You know, so what benefits have you realized so far? What benefits do you expect to realize, and how do you want to ensure that it becomes a culture, if it hasn't already become a culture in your organization?
Yeah, thank you. For us at NIBSS, I mean, with the 3 certifications we have now, really, I mean, the benefits are becoming to really come out very clearly. And one that comes to mind very easily, there's a general comment, or people talk about it every now and then in the market, and that, oh, NIBSS is a single point of failure.
Okay.
Is the PTSA, all the POS terminals in Nigeria point to a server in NIBSS and all that. So if things go down, hey, what will happen to the entire system? So those worries are coming. People are asking, But you see, each time the question comes, once we mention, oh, we've done this, we have this education, somehow, people's mind go here. There's some comfort there that, oh, okay, you mean you guys have done this? Okay, fine. For me, I see that as a major benefit. It has helped us in a way that we don't have to do too much talking to convince people, especially concerning BCMS and even the ISMS. I mean, we're talking of security, there's fraud all over the place. Accelerated payment volume is growing in the country. I mean, fraud will naturally follow it, and it's following it the way we see in many other countries too. So there's this general worry really by our customers, by the banks, by their own customers, by the central bank, by other players in the system, by mobile money operators, even microfinance banks, the mortgage institutions, all of who are on our system. As we engage them, these questions keep coming. But once they look up and see that, oh, you have BCMS certification, oh, you have ISMS certification, okay, there is this kind of comfort. I see that as a very major benefit. And for me, I love the way the certification too has been structured. It's not just a one-off, oh, we've got it, so we'll go to sleep.
Yes.
There's a follow-up audit that comes that is mandatory. You have to do the certificate after 3 years, every 3 years. So we are put on your toes. Yes. Part of what we did in NIBSS too, as part of ensuring that we meet the requirement that led to the certification, we had to create a new department we call Information System Security. If one of the staff in the department is here with me, Kayode, and their own role is to ensure that all the controls that have been put in place to ensure that we get the certification, all they do is sit on those controls and ensure that they are enforced, onward, and they give their regular reports. So management is aware, management is put on its toes. We ensure that the controls are put in place that enable us to get certification, that we don't relax in any form. Talking about benefits, again, the more we engage the board now, our board, to get approval for things and all that, it has helped us so well, because now we have the reference point where we need to do things. We need to set up a new unit, maybe we need to set up, to acquire some new system or change the way things are done. As soon as we're able to make reference to the standard, and that, hey, this is what is required, you do less of talking. You do less of convincing, because the standard is there. You can make reference to it easily. I see that as a second benefit. And thirdly, maybe for me, that runs the technology and operations of the company, for that kind of company, your heart is up all the time. You're worried, hey, I hope everything is working. I hope nothing will go down. I hope. These days, I'm more rest assured, exactly. Because I now know, fine, we have controls. In the past, you just trust people. You trust something you put there and you think this will go fine. But now with the structure that have been put in place, some of them automated, we've had to acquire some security devices, for instance, that ensures, in fact, that goes ahead to log activities on the system. That was a requirement on the ISMS certification. So now at least one is rest assured that even I'm not in the office now, I know that if anybody does anything out of the ordinary, it's going to be reported, something will flag it. I know that I sit there now, if anything goes wrong there, I get an alert straight off. by SMS and email on my phone, wherever I am in the world, wherever I'm in the world. So somehow, you are a bit, the sense of being in control.
Yeah.
I think, something money cannot buy. Those are a few, those are a few things I can think about. And then, again, our partnership with Digital Jewel, the way we see it, it's not just certification and bye-bye, we don't see each other again. We still engage every now and then. Myself and Dapo and the other staff, we engage every now and then. So it's a long-term relationship. So we know we can only get back to Digital Jewels when we need some new things. Maybe, the ISMS, for instance, we use the 2013 version as our benchmark. Yeah. We know whenever 2014, 2015 is released, we know, fine, Digital Jewel is there for us to talk to consult and see, okay, how do we upgrade and all that. Those are a few benefits I can think of that we enjoy currently.
I'll just add one or two things to what they have said, because what he said, they are applicable to us as well. But if you look at the benefits we have derived from this thing, actually I can classify them into two. One is internal and one is external. The internal side of it, one of the key benefits is that for all the certifications we have done, whether PCI DSS, ISMS or BCMS, they've helped us to create massive awareness within the organization. Because when the project is going on, everybody will be involved one way or the other, so you create a lot of awareness. And also, the process of following up on the annual, whatever, some of the mandatory things, so those are now included as mandatory activities in the bank. So on a continuous basis, those things are being done. And like he said, you don't struggle with budget anymore because they're already part of your annual certification, annual whatever. So they are there, nobody touches it, nobody disturbs you. In fact, one of the things we are not doing is that we now look for even other related training that will support that, and you put everything. So on a yearly basis, because when you say ordinarily you want to do training on this, by the time you justify, HR may say this one cannot go. But if it is part of the ISMS project or BSMS project, it doesn't concern HR. The budget will not get to HR at all. So it's approved. People have seen the advantage in this. So you don't struggle, you just put your training in there. So the BCMS, for example, has a training package that goes with it. The SMS has training package that go with it. The PCL, so the same thing. So for me, I think that's a key benefit for us. Then in terms of management, buying in and forcing management to be interested in this thing, it has also helped because they now see that this is I don't have a choice. I must be. So we actually, part of what we did, we actually created, I remember doing BCMS, we actually created a classroom for EDs, general managers, everybody. We set it up like this place, say, okay, you are coming for it's part of the process. And everybody all come and sit down, and Dapo was there the professor to teach them. So ordinarily, you can't easily get these people together except you are into that kind of project. So for me, that's also very important. But another key benefit we have derived is process improvement itself. Just like you mentioned some, but there are several others. Yes. In the process you discover that, this is the way I was doing this thing before. So it can actually be better done this way. So you put in those things into your processes. So in terms of changes, and if you now put all these things into your normal day-to-day processes, for example, your SOPs, you modify them to make sure those things are embedded. So they become part of the culture of the organization, and then you can cruise with that. So on the external side, they can be guided. On the external side, I think it has helped us. In terms of regulators, you can now boldly tell regulators that, okay, where are you on BCMS? So I did this. I also have BCMS certification. So the mere fact that you mentioned that you have BCMS certification, for those that understand, they know that there are a lot of things that go with it. So they understand. So when IFC, all our foreign investors, foreign customers, when they are talking to Robert, they are always interested in BCMS. Yeah. They will ask you, tell me about your business continuity, or give me 2 paragraphs of your business continuity. When you tell them that you are ISO certified, or whatever you have this. So it makes it, you don't have to speak too much grammar before they understand what you are doing. And the same thing goes for our corporate customers and investors.
Excellent.
Most of the things they said, have been implemented because we also have different, we do what we call capacity now. That's the right word it will come now. That Diamond Academy has just introduced because what you don't measure, you don't achieve. Yeah. We try as much as possible, to ensure that quite a few of the lessons learned from most of these things becomes our DNA. So it becomes part and parcel of our normal processes. I mean, I remember we were traveling for board retreat, and so there's also an applied, an applied benefit that comes out of it. We're traveling for a board retreat, and when I looked at the list, I found out that the CEO, the DMD, and 3 EDs, and my director of operation, they are on the same plane. I mean, so the first thing I asked is, so we are talking about business continuity. Where is it displayed in this trip that we want to make? Because we need to, and why it's very important to us. I don't believe in just theoretical things. Yeah. We should be able to break it down.
Yes,
and that's why maybe it's unpopular, but that's not a problem. I mean, I speak my mind. We need to, because even in our daily activities, in what we do outside even the office, it's all projects. Okay, and we need to understand why we are doing what we are doing. That is the only time the value of what we are doing resonates with us, and it becomes the way we look at things. So thank God for the external, impact, in terms of regulatory requirements or imperative. Well, everywhere we do, every touch point that we interact, both internally and with our external, clientele or stakeholders, let me just use that word loosely, we are putting everything in place. I mean, I'm glad my friend said, okay. And you see, whether we admit it or not, by the time that there is a cohesive kind of, activities, happens within the critical mass of banking industry here, I'm believing God that, even the external banks and other clients that pride themselves, for best of practices, will begin to respect us better. And it's going to percolate into the cost of risk, because, the rate at which you are able to borrow, the rate at which you are able to access, support, it's a function of the perceived risk.
Absolutely. So
it's a risk-return analysis. I remember when IFC came to us and they asked all those questions. So now that we are trying to do it, by the time we finish our PCI DSS, nobody told us that we needed to have an EFM solution, because we know that if you cannot contend with our internet issues, internal fraud, we are likely to be exposed, and sooner than later we will be out of business. So before EFM even became a regulatory, imperative, it brought it out. So one thing leads to the other. We are doing BCMS now. We are doing information management system. Information management system has become a key department, so that anything that you are doing, any project that you are doing, they are part of the stakeholders. So a whole lot of lessons are coming home. And then again, when your customers also know that you are doing this, and it's reflected in the way you handle their information, the way you relate to them, the way you render services, you are earning more respect, and of course, you are improving on the clientele, the share of the wallet of the clientele in terms of businesses we do. So, it's all over. We are enlightened. I'm a Christian, so I can say that. It's knowledge that separates you, that sets you free. So our people are getting more knowledgeable, okay, and you get more inferior when you see others, your colleague, they come to gatherings like this, they're able to contribute intelligently, and you are not. So you are challenged, but not only challenged, you are also, encouraged to do better, because you see people that are doing well, being in their balance scorecard, we make sure that it's ingrained in what they do. And it's a dynamic process. So I think there's a whole lot of benefits that we may not be able to quantify and express here.
That you are deriving.